What is up, everyone? I'm Jeff London. This is the Mediocre Alaskan Podcast. The season of all seasons is upon us. I love steelhead fishing season. I love salmon season. I love, there's always something to love when you live in Southeast Alaska. There's always something to do. But man, there's something about alpine season. It's just fun. It's misery, but it's fun. And I was trying to think about in the moment, because it's a lot of fun to make posts about how miserable the hike was, or how heavy the hike was, or how macho or badass you were that you went up and did this. Like, that's a lot of fun to get that feedback. But as it was happening, I tried to think about and really be in that moment and think about, hey man, this is a heavy pack. Like, this is not a lot of fun. But then think about it in that moment. Like, well, why is this fun? Is this fun right now, or is this just going to be fun later when I post about it? So my buddy Danny quotes some people who talk about self-esteem and confidence and what real fun is, and something that's more than just like a simplistic joy, but more that's about fulfillment, and that's doing something difficult. And when you do something difficult and you achieve that, you feel good about it because you've taken on a challenge, all right? You're challenging yourself. And so as we're going down the mountain, I felt good. It did feel good. It was a heavy pack, but it felt good, man. It was awesome because, you're doing it. You're not living off the old memory. And it's just the type of, you're doing something hard. You're putting yourself out there. And yeah, it does kind of suck, but it's going to work out. Like, I'm going to get down there. There was no question about whether or not I'd get down there. So that was a lot of fun. It was great. But to recap a little bit here, got a buck. My buddy Steve Shannon was down here from Fairbanks. He also got a buck. We did a recap as we were driving from camp back toward town. But we didn't talk specifics, which was kind of funny. We'd gotten back down and we're just kind of exhausted and dehydrated. It was kind of hot. So we didn't get into specifics. So I'm going to play that little episode at the conclusion of this one, not as a separate part to be published later. I'll just add that on to the end of this one. So as far as specifics go, obviously at this point, you know that we both got a buck. But he came down here on the 30th, and being I don't know why I'm paranoid, but I felt like there was a little bit of pressure. I've been thinking about hunting, and I did not do well last year. I got one buck in the alpine, and then the rest of the year I didn't get another one. I spent a lot of days in the woods, but I just wasn't finding them. And people were making excuses for me. They were saying, well, it's because you're trying to use your bow. And I'm thinking, no, man, I'm not even seeing bucks. So it's not like, I saw this really nice buck, but is it 50 yards? Or I saw a nice buck, but is it 100 yards and I couldn't close the distance? I wasn't even seeing bucks. So I had a really tough September, October, November. So there was a sense of urgency with the usual excitement and some pressure to make sure that, Steve paying all that money to come down here from Fairbanks, that it wasn't, a waste of his money. So I wanted to make sure that the mountain that I wanted to go up, that we were there first. And so we went the 30th and camped low. On the 31st, the day before opener, we hiked halfway up the mountain. And then in the morning of the first, we finished out the hike. As we got to the top, we saw a buck kind of across. The ridge has a little bit of a turn to it. And we're kind of heading up a finger of the ridge, and then it takes a left. So we saw one, and as we were working around, I said, hey, Steve, be on the lookout for bucks, like down off the ridge over here, because there was kind of a shelf, and we were kind of in this little chute that hit us on both sides of it, on the ridge side, on the lower side. And so naturally, I get near to peek over, and there's a stinking buck staring right at me. So I hit the dirt. As I told Steve, just so there's no confusion, I said, you have first buck, no questions asked. That way we know exactly the shooting order. And so I hit the dirt, and I motion to him, so he comes over, he crawls over, And by the time he gets to the ledge and looks over, the buck's gone. He probably took off as soon as I hit the dirt, so I spooked that one. And then we keep working over to get to the original buck that we saw. It was 200 yards. It was feeding away from us. Steve had a shot, but I whispered, hey man, we can probably get closer. All we gotta do is just duck back behind this little bump, head down the ridge a little bit more, and then peek up, and it's facing away from us, so we shouldn't be an issue at all. As we're doing that, we start to feel some wind on our back, and I think, oh no. So as soon as we pop up on this hump for Steve to get a rest and take a shot, the buck's onto us, and so as soon as we peek off, he takes off. So I've already two chances already gone, and I'm thinking, man, we had 2 chances. How many chances do you get on a mountain, right? Like sometimes you only get one, and you should be happy that you get one. And so Steve and I wanting to both get a buck on opening day, that's already difficult. I don't care where you're hunting. That can be difficult. So 0 for 2, and about 30 seconds later, I said, well, let's go check this. Let's go check down off the ridge. And we just peek over the edge, and there is a buck standing on this ledge, and behind it is just this beautiful hazy morning fog that hasn't quite burned off, and just this silhouette of an awesome buck. So Steve gets a rest, he shoots it, it drops and rolls down onto another ledge. Great shot. We'd also talked about once he gets his buck, if he gets a buck, that I'd probably, if it's early in the morning, that I'd probably just go down the ridge and look for a buck too. And he totally agreed. So there's kind of 2 things that you can do. You can hunt solo, even though you're hunting with someone, or you can hunt together, and then when someone gets a buck, then you have 2 choices from that point. So I guess there's 3 total. The other person then go hunt. If the person knows how to take care of the deer, you can just do that. So he was taking care of the deer. I hiked back up to the ridge, and I was going down the ridge. Saw a nice buck, got it, and then got back to camp about 8:30 in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning. So we'd got this done pretty early. It was awesome, to see make that happen. One of the bucks may have been one of the ones we spooked. We saw 4 Forkies, or could have been 3, and then we saw one of them twice. I don't know what it was, but it was awesome to get that done. And it's kind of funny to think about. One of the arguments for shooting big deer and not shooting forks, or validating being picky, is if there was a fork and a 4-point right next to each other, why not shoot the 4-point? It's not antler chasing. I'm like, well, of course, yeah, 100%. If they're both next to each other, yeah, why not shoot the 4-point? Right? If you got both, of course, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's funny that hypothetical rarely happens. And a lot of times people are not shooting the fork to go possibly find a 4-point, in which case the whole argument that if there's a fork and a 4-point and you choose the 4-point, there's nothing wrong with that. That only exists when you have that situation. If you don't have that situation, if you pass up a big-bodied fork to go find or try to find a 4-point, that's a different situation. If you like to just hunt antlers, just say you want antlers. I want a 4-point. There's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that. Just be honest, man. Just say, I just like to shoot 4-points. I would rather pass up a fork to go shoot a 4-point. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. So, but it is interesting. I'm happy with the deer. It was just fat deer, tons of meat, which made the hike down tough.
After years of fine print contracts and getting ripped off by big wireless providers, if we've learned anything, it's that there's always a catch. So when I first heard that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month, I thought, what's the catch? But after talking to them and using their service, it all made sense. There isn't one. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is that they're the first company to sell wireless service online only. They cut out the cost of retail stores and pass those sweet savings directly to you. For anyone who hates their phone bill, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. I was hesitant about having to get a new phone and a new phone number, but with Mint, you can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone and your same phone number along with all of your existing contacts. Mint Mobile gives you the best rate whether you're buying for one or for a family, and at Mint, families start at 2 lines. All plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and to get the plans shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/waypoint. That is mintmobile.com/waypoint. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/waypoint.
I was leaning on the trekking poles as I was going down because, man, it was a tough hike down. It was great. It was exuberant, though. It was that if you do something difficult, right, that's where you get yourself confidence because you're getting after it. And, man, it felt good to have such a heavy pack, and that was great. And then thick antlers. Awesome. So great. And I think I got caught up in... There was a year that I got all 4 bucks, and I started to get kind of full of myself, and I started to think, I've arrived, and it's going to be $4, and let's start to get some bigger bucks now because I bought into that reflects the type of hunter you are. And again, if you want 4 points and you can shoot 4 points, and you encounter enough 4 points to be able to put meat in the freezer, and they happen to have 4-point antlers. Do it. There's nothing wrong with that. However, I don't see a lot of 4 points. Either I'm not where I'm hunting doesn't have the genes, I'm not a good enough hunter, or for whatever reason, I'm not passing up a lot of deer. I'm shooting nice deer, or I'm taking nice deer that are there, and I'm fine with that. I don't have the luxury of being able to sort through a whole bunch of bucks. So extremely happy and have that perspective. And at some point, if I start seeing more 4 points, then that'd be great to have one. But just trying to judge yourself based on points and how many big deer you have, and just it's that you get a lot of feedback. And if you're getting that positive feedback and you're feeling really good because people are following you and liking you and sharing you, and you're getting, oh, it's a massive buck, man. Chasing likes and trying to feed that ego, man. I bought into that a little bit, and I don't want to be there. I want to be happy about it. I want to, and that, again, that's not saying that if you chase 4 points that you're not happy or that's wrong. There's nothing at all wrong with that. Everybody has to do that individual check about where they're at, what their motives are, who they're doing it for, what they're doing it for, because you can say that you're doing it for the right reasons all you want, but that doesn't mean you are. Only you know the real truth. You might be able to say the right thing for sure, post the right thing, type the right thing, but only you know if you're full of crap or not. So anyway, there's some stuff there. Right up after this, a couple seconds, we're going to go with the recap of Steve and I right after we got down off the mountain. Make sure you check out the MediocreAlaskan.com. Make sure you also check out Alaska Magazine September issue for an article I wrote about Bodden Street Brewing in Ketchikan. Make sure you check out Bodden Street Brewing on Instagram. And if you live in Ketchikan, they got some great stuff going on there. Sean's doing a great job, so check that stuff out. Listen to Steve's recap starting right now, and we will talk to you next time. Well, the hunt's over. You came down here, spent some money. Was it worth it?
Oh, definitely. And it's not, the hunt's over.
Yeah.
Go do some other fun stuff.
Yeah. It's Uck's first opening day. Steve and I went up on the 30th. Made sure we got our spots. We camped made a base camp, and then went up to the mountain, and then got both our deer today, hiked off, and now we're going for burgers. The whole time that we were hiking out, you're in the interior and you're familiar with the doll sheep program and just the hardcore. That was a pretty good hike for blacktail. Where does it compare with the doll sheep or with some of the epic interior hunts?
I'll have probably better information in like 3 weeks to compare it to. But I mean, just like the tangled pieces of that, where you're just everything is wet and it's all trying to send you downhill. I feel like that's pretty similar. Where but down here, like there's just way more green. Like you're, a very short amount of time spent above tree line, and then everything else was in the trees, and that I think added like I said, I think I fell down like 4 times in that last half a mile just because everything was sopping wet.
Yeah, it's a fun program if you like pain, but it just seems like it's such a shorter duration than your up north hunts. And even for caribou, people talk about, floating for caribou, which would be easier. We're just packing the moose. If you shoot a moose back, and even if you are floating, we're still talking about you going back and forth for a mile, 2 miles round trip with 100 pounds of meat on your back. And we came off the mountain. It was probably, I think it was 1.4 miles from camp to here. So, I mean, it wasn't very far. Had the elevation difference.
Yeah, I think we went as far vertically as we did horizontally. That was a good hike.
Some people never get out of their cars, as we're seeing right here, as we're driving back into town. We're seeing people who are road hunting, drive around until you see something, which can be fun. During the rut, it's kind of fun to just get some coffee, just drive around, walk some muskeg, especially if it's messy out, and kind of a no big deal drive-by type hunt, which always ends up being a little bit more involved than I think I intended at the purpose. But what's kind of the easiest hunt to do up there? What does it entail? And then how do you go about it? How often do you get out there for it?
When we're talking road hunt, the first thing I was thinking of was actually grouse. Like, I love just hitting like the logging roads early in the morning when they're trying to get their grit, and just going out with my bow and popping grouse. Same thing, cup of coffee, and just drive till you see one on the road. My dog likes to do that too, and my son. He became part of the grouse crew, so I'm gonna work on getting him to a little 22, and then we can go do that this fall a little bit more. But yeah, other thing, like the easiest would probably be something like the 40-mile caribou, where you can literally drive your four-wheeler up the highway, stop, get it out of your truck, drive it to a caribou, put it on your four-wheeler, drive it back to your truck. So there's not, but because of that ease, what makes it difficult is all the people. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely a trade-off. Like, that wasn't easy, and I didn't see another person out there doing it. So
yeah, the easiest ones around here are black bear and black-tailed. But from there, the logistical things get so much more complex, because Ketchikan's on an island, Southeast Alaska's all islands, and so you're looking at boats. You can't just drive to some of these. So what are some of the easy and not so easy logistical ones? Or is it you kind of have one for both? Like your easy moves would be this, but your complex would be this. So what are your varying difficulty logistics-wise?
Oh, I would like for a moose, we used to live out on Chino Hot Springs Road, and on September 1st, some friends came over. There was a husband and wife couple. They were going to ride his four-wheeler, and my wife and I were going to ride my four-wheeler, and we were going to just go for a little trip. And we got a quarter mile from the house. We're still on the property that we were living on, and there was a little spike bull standing there, and I turned my 4-wheeler around, ran back to the house, and got my rifle. And the area we were in, he was legal, and it was easy as can be. Didn't even have to lift it more than 3 feet off the ground. He put it on the 4-wheeler. That was pretty nice.
Nice.
But yeah, that's what I like, is you can make it as hard as you want. So I'd love to do a float hunt for moose. That's kind of on the bucket list of Alaskan things that I haven't yet done.
But you have done one for caribou.
Yep, I did one for caribou. But I think for moose, I'd probably save up a little money and do like a fly-in. Be dropped somewhere a little more remote. I feel like anywhere near town that I could float, someone in their airboat could get to. So I want to kind of avoid that.
Is it weird that we're Alaskans and we're talking about crowded hunts? On our drive back in from where we were hunting, we've seen 4 or 5 trucks already, and this has only been about a 10-minute drive. Is it weird, or is it spoiled, or do we have something that's some actual beef? Because you grew up hunting in Wisconsin, right?
Just a little, like turkeys. When I didn't even start until I got into college. My roommate took me out. We went duck hunting a little bit, and then I got into turkeys. But I think it's similar. Like we talk about deer drives back in Wisconsin and things like that, where somebody pushes from one end and drives the deer out the other end to a group of guys, more or less, just sitting and waiting. But there's, I don't know. Everybody's got to do what they can. Like half the guys I saw probably in the vehicles we passed probably are past the age where they really want to go do something like that.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them. Like if that's how you can get out, do it.
Yeah.
But then it also makes it like the guys that don't, like we talked while we were out about that 40-mile hunt, that like some people, that's their Super Bowl. That's like that is caribou hunting for them. And I think it's 2 parts of like that's too bad for them. I wish like they could see some of these other things. But B, it means there's fewer people out there when I'm trying to do it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's weird and this has been talked about on so many podcasts, I've talked about it a lot. It's just a weird thing to want to encourage other people to experience the same things that we do and the quality of life we do, because you want to share it. But at the same time, the more you share it, that means, well, you're sharing it, and there's the likelihood that you're going to run into something or someone. So I was paranoid about where we were going to go, because you're coming down here from Fairbanks, and of course I wanted a deer too, and going out an extra day early just to make sure we got that spot. Yeah. What about that sharing, especially maybe with your son too? With you want him to be a part of the hunting crowd and experience all the great parts of it, but too many people makes it different.
Yeah, I think etiquette just plays into it, and everybody has different respect for how close they want to be. We were talking about when we were up high looking down at our tents, like bright orange tent, because I want someone to see my tent and go, oh, he's over there. Yeah. I'll just hunt this other part, versus people seeing your stuff and then either trying to get into it or being, oh, there's something over there. If someone's camped up there, like maybe I'll go. I've never been a person that wants to crowd someone else, and I don't like being crowded by other people, so I try to give them that space. But I think that raising my son with that same understanding of like, hey, like there's plenty of room out here, and if you're willing to work, there's animals out there, so you just have to work a little bit harder than everybody else, and sometimes that's okay.
Yeah, when you add in if you're willing to do the work, but then time becomes an issue, I think that desperation is what leads people to do things that they might not otherwise do, I would hope. Yeah. But, based on where we camped on the mountain, I woke up and I heard, it was just the wind flapping the tent a little bit, but all that's amplified, and so I thought, wait, is that someone are they hiking by us? Because, again, if they know where you're at, well, you were down here, I thought you were hiking, or you're camping here. I've also had some people where we parked, they parked and walked past and thought, oh, well, I thought you were hunting that muskeg. Well, how do you know if I'm hunting that muskeg or not? And then you got someone else out there with a rifle, and you don't know where they are. They don't know where you're at. You don't even know that they're there. It's just it's kind of weird. But
Yeah.
any closing remarks here? Quick little recap.
I mean, it was hot and heavy. That was awesome. Yesterday it was pouring rain, and it was just a great time. Sitting under the tarp, hanging out. And then today, beautiful weather, like up high. It was great. Yeah, it was a good time, man.
Outstanding. Well,
Got the deer right away.
yeah, glad you could make it. Had a good morning and easy hike out.